Hello everyone, my name is Arthur Morris and welcome to Writing Linear Equations. Okay, to write a linear equation in slope-intercept form, we need to know two things about the line. We need to know the location of a point on the line, the coordinates of a point, and the slope of the line. So we need a point and the slope of the line. If we are given 2 points, then we first must calculate the slope by using the slope formula, because we have to have a point and the slope to be able to write the equation of a line using this method. Okay, so the next thing that we will do once we have a point and a slope, we will write our equation in slope-intercept form, which is y minus y sub 1 equals m parentheses x minus x sub 1. Now, in that equation, we will replace three things: the x sub 1, the y sub 1, and the m. The x sub 1 and the y sub 1 will be the information from your point, the coordinates from your point. And the m will be the value of the slope. Now, once we get the equation written in that form, then we solve the equation for y to convert it to slope-intercept form. So you could write it in point-slope form if those are your directions, or if your directions are to write the equation in slope-intercept form, then we will use our distributive property and move a number over from the left-hand side to the right to write our equation in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So let's look at a few examples. Okay, so let's say that we have the information that a point passes through the coordinates of 2, 2, and it has a slope of 1/2. So we're going to use the point slope form to write the equation of the line. So the point they give us, it's our x1 and that's our y1, and then the slope, of course, is the m. So replace the y1 with 2, replace the m with the slope of 1/2, and replace the x1 in this case with 2 also. Now, after replacing those, there are 2 steps to getting your equation in slope-intercept form. One, you want to clear your parentheses by using the distributive property. So we're going to multiply 1/2 times x and 1/2 times -2. So 1/2 times x is 1/2 x, 1/2 times -2, 1/2 of 2, this will be 2 over 2, which simplifies to be 1. Final step, you want to get y by itself. So if we have y minus 2, we should add 2 to each side of the equation. And we end up with y equals 1/2 x plus 1. Okay, let's look at another example. So let's say that the point this time goes through 4, 3. The line goes through the point 4, 3 and has a slope of 6. Well, again, we're given a point and we're given the slope, so we're given the information that we need to be able to write the equation of this line. The 4 is your x1, the 3 is the y1, the slope, m equals 6. So we're going to replace those 3 pieces in our point slope form. y1 is the y coordinate of the point, which is 3. X sub, or m, sorry, is 6. Parentheses, x minus the x coordinate of the point, which is 4. So after you replace those 3 pieces, there are 2 steps. Clear your parentheses by using the distributive property. So 6 times x and 6 times negative 4. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. And then add 3 to both sides. So y equals 6x minus 21. And there's our equation in slope-intercept form that goes through the point 43 and has a slope of 6. So with the first two examples, we were given a point and the slope. However, you will not always be given the slope. You may be given 2 points, the information of 2 points. So if you're given 2 points, the first thing that you must find is the slope by using your slope formula. So if we're given the point negative 2, 5 and negative 6, 13, then we will use our slope formula, the difference of the y coordinates, 13 minus 5 over the difference of the x coordinates, negative 6 minus negative 2. So 13 minus 5, that gives us 8. Negative 6 minus negative 2, that changes to plus, so that becomes negative 6 plus 2. So negative 6 plus 2 gives us negative 4. And 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2. So now we have the slope of negative 2, and we have 2 points to pick from. I'm going to stick with what I have labeled as x sub 1 and y sub 1 to plug into my point slope form. So far, we've only calculated the slope. We want to write the equation of the line. So my next step is going to be to use the negative 2, 5, and the m equals negative 2, and to write my equation. So I will replace the y sub 1 with 5, replace the m with what we just calculated of negative 2, and replace the x sub 1 also with negative 2. So before we use our distributive property, we need to simplify the minus negative. X minus negative 2 changes to x plus 2. Now there are 2 steps. Clear the parentheses by using the distributive property. And adding 5 to both sides. So we get y equals negative 2x plus 1. Now, what if your problem asks you to write this in function notation? Well, remember, y and f of x of function notation are the same. So if I wanted to write that equation in function notation, I would simply change the y to f of x, and I would have f of x equals negative 2x plus 1. Okay, so let's try one more of those problems. Again, you need 2 things to be able to write the equation of a line. The point, any point that the line passes through, and the slope of the line. Okay, so let's say that we have a line that's passing through the points negative 2, negative 4, and negative 4, negative 3. Well, again, we're given 2 points, so the first thing that we must find is the slope of this particular line by using our slope formula. So let's label our coordinates. The slope formula, the difference of the y coordinates, negative 3 minus negative 4, over the difference of the x coordinates, negative 4 minus negative 2. So negative 3 minus negative 4, minus a negative makes plus. Negative 4 minus negative 2. Minus a negative makes plus. So negative 3 plus 4, positive 1. Negative 4 plus 2, negative 2. So my slope, or my m, is negative 1/2. Again, we have not found the equation of the line. We've only calculated the slope. Now that we have the slope and we have 2 points, we're just going to use one of them. We can plug that information into our point slope form and write the equation of this line. So in this case, I'm going to replace y1 with negative 4. M, we just found our slope is negative 1/2. And I will replace x sub 1 with negative 2. Again, I got my x sub 1 and my y sub 1 from the given point, that first given point. All right, so as we've stated several times, minus a negative makes plus. Minus a negative makes plus. Use the distributive property to clear the parentheses. So now we have y plus 4 equals negative 1/2 x. Negative times positive makes negative, or minus. 1/2 times 2 is 2 over 2, or 1. Subtract 4. Subtract 4. Y equals negative 1/2 x minus 5. So the equation of the line that goes through those 2 points is y equals negative 1/2 x minus 5. And that is in slope-intercept form. Now, you may be asked just to leave it in point-slope form. So remember, if you're just leaving it in point-slope form, if you're asked that, then that would have been right there. Y plus 4 equals negative 1/2 times x plus 2. And when you're plugging in for the x1 and the y sub 1, we could have used either one of the points. So I could have used the coordinates negative 4 and negative 3 to plug in for my x and my y. But I chose just to stick with what I already had labeled as x sub 1 and y sub 1 to keep everything in order. Okay, I hope you found that video to be helpful. Thank you.